Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Welcome to a Thursday edition of the program. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. It's Thursday. You know what that means. Our college football analyst, Brent Beaird, will be joining us from Hoover, Alabama at the SEC Media Day. Second portion of the show, we continue our flashback on interviews. Former Gator quarterbacks Eric Kresser will join us. But first, let's go to the Titan Tomorrow hotline. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Well, I'm doing okay. This is the last day of media days, but boy, it's been a great week being here back in Hoover. Really enjoyed being a part of everything. But I tell you what, Shane, we got two bombshells dropped on us yesterday. Obviously, the first one being, in sad news with the terminal illness of Coach Bobby Bowden, and certainly our prayers go with him, and Ann and the family. And the other would be the news about the possibility of Texas and Oklahoma joining the SEC. I'm sure timing is everything. It comes from a Houston Chronicle story. And when you've got all this media kind of put together, these things can travel very quickly. So, and then of course you've got players and coaches talking about their team. So it's been an eventful week so far, my friend.
Yeah, it really has. What stood out to you the most since you've been there? I mean, I saw yesterday, Mike Leach is just a natural treasure. I mean, some of the stuff that he just goes off on a random tangent. I thought he makes me laugh. Lane Kiffin, I thought was really good. He kind of just tells it like it is. I think he was shocked when he heard the report. I think it was a reporter that mentioned about what Bryce Young has made now. Yes. It kind of caught him off guard. And I agree. I don't know how in the hell that kid's made that much money when he hadn't started a game.
Well, it's just amazing. But that tells you the power of this name, image, and likeness in certain schools. Now, Nick Saban a couple of days ago was addressing a high school function in the state of Texas, and he was either asked about that, but look, Shane, as you and I've talked before, Saban is intentional about everything that he does, and everything is surrounded recruiting. So if he's trying to recruit a 5-star quarterback somewhere, one of the things he's going to do is get it out into the room that his quarterback, who's a freshman, is close to making $1 million from different people and companies for NIL. And that news had gotten out by the time that Lane Kiffin got on the podium. And Kiffin basically, he was asked one question, and his answer was, hold on, I'll answer that, but I just can't get over this Alabama quarterback quote yet. So that really took him off guard at that point. There's no doubt. You mentioned Leach. Leach is a treasure. They ask him about being the possibility of the head coach at Tennessee. He said, I talked to Tennessee, nothing got nailed down. And then they had this coup d'etat there. I didn't end up in the middle of the coup, so lucky for me. So yeah. I'm guessing. There's several things happened at Tennessee, but I'm guessing, Shane, where that's probably coming from was when they had talked about maybe hiring Greg Schiano, and the fan base just went crazy and didn't want him, and so they had to change their mind on that one. So that was classic for Mike Leach, to say the least.
Yeah, it really was. Back to the Bryce Young thing, Brent. I mean, we haven't heard him cutting any deals. It hadn't been on Twitter. I haven't heard any of that.
Right.
And my whole concern, and I've watched a little bit off and on all week. I think Gene Chizik does a phenomenal job on there. I mean, Dorian and the whole crew, they're all great, but Chizik,
right,
being a former player and a longtime coach, he was just saying how he's concerned about it in the locker room, and I've been concerned about it in the locker room from day one. But what if Bryce Young doesn't play well against Miami or whoever the first couple of games, and he gets benched?
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
Or Shane, what if he gets hurt?
Right.
So at that point, that's the risk that they're taking. But now look, there are two sides of this. The one side is your social media side and how many people that you draw as your followers. Well, that can get you in the door. But to dovetail what you're saying here, once you get in the door, and I've heard this from many people in the media, you've got to perform. So it's one thing to have a great deal, but if you get hurt or you're a bust, changes that company who shell out all that money, or do they want to re-up for you again for the following year? I'm guessing that's probably not going to happen, is it? So I would agree that this is a great example of the reward and risk for NIL, is it not?
Yeah, there's no question. I think I saw where somebody asked Lane during his presser, and he basically said, "This is pro football now. We have free agency. Kids are being paid, and that's exactly what it is now." But the difference between the transfer portal and NFL free agency, they only have a window for NFL free agency. Transfer portal is open every day.
Well, and that's why they're going to have to put some parameters on these situations. And again, and we'll double check this, but the transfer portal also has some parameters after it comes open. But I think your point's a good one. And the other thing you said a minute ago is the problems that this might cause on the team with the chemistry. Several players were asked about that. They have the players on the podium now instead of media surrounding them on the little desk they've got. And they've all said the right things by saying, no, we think we're brothers and we have great chemistry and none of this is going to affect us. Well, we don't know that yet, do we, Shane? So absolutely not.
Yeah. Turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with the eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. This July, I mentioned promo code Shane, 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with Brent Beaird from Hoover, Alabama, at the SEC Media Days. Eric Kresser will join us, second portion of the program today. Brent, I want to go back to day one when Commissioner Sankey kind of had his address to the entire league and kicked the thing off. What do you take about the whole vaccine thing?
Well, I think the only thing he can do is to encourage the different schools to get as many players as possible vaccinated. So, and he made that clear that that's what they wanted to do. Now, what we still don't know specifically, there was some talk that, okay, if you don't have enough players to play, will the games be rescheduled? And what came out of that was more, no, there will be forfeits if that happened. But I was talking to some other media about that a couple nights ago, and they made the point, Shane, that that was not exactly what the commissioner said. So I think the point with that is possible, but I'm not going to say that that it is definite that if you don't have enough players that you will not play. So, I mean, he's encouraging it. The coaches have understood that. Nick Saban said yesterday that it is a personal choice, but he also said that it affects the team. And the comment that drew the most laughter about this was, again, from Mike Leach, when one of the members of the media asked Leach, Coach, have you been vaccinated? And his reply was, whether I have or whether I haven't, regardless, I'm not going to tell you. So that sounds like Leach, doesn't it, Shane?
Yeah. I mean, if people didn't get to see his deal on the podium, you got to go back somehow and watch it. He just makes me laugh. If you got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule a free consultation at QC Kinetics. That's 352-400-4550. Call the good folks at QC Kinetics today, 352-400-4550. A few more minutes with our college football analyst, Brent Beaird from Hoover, Alabama. Brent, I wanted to ask you, does the media, and I asked Buddy Martin this the other day on my show, does the media still do their whole preseason player of the year, the rankings in the East and the West, and who's going to play in? Yes. They do that. When does that happen? Tomorrow?
Yes. I mean, today? Yes. The deadline for that is at the end of the day on Thursday, and they will tabulate all of it, and they will get. Shane, they may do it Friday. I also won't be surprised if maybe they wait and do it Monday. So your point's well taken. They do pretty much. I know it's first and second team. They may even do three of them, and then obviously they will tabulate the who do you think will win the East and West, and give us the order that you think they will finish. I mean, I think pretty much everybody believes that it will be Georgia and Alabama, and that Alabama will win, will be what comes out of the vote. And now look, I've seen some variations of this, and you probably have too. Cole Kubelik, who is well known, but played at Auburn, does a lot with the SEC Network. I mean, believe it or not, Shane, his top three in the East was Georgia, Kentucky, and Florida. Now, look, I have a lot of respect for Cole, but Shane, there's no way in the world. And look, I know Florida has their own questions. I don't think there's any way in the world right now that Kentucky, with their questions at quarterback, could be number 2 in the East. Although I truly believe that they're going to have a good club.
Yeah, they hired a guy that came from the Rams organization out there with Sean McVay.
Liam Cohen is who it is, and they're very excited about what this guy could do with that. But again, look, you watch them like I have. The problem they have had is now again. We've seen before when they had Bowden as a wide receiver turn a quarterback, they knew he was going to run the ball. But Shane, it frankly has been quite a while since they've really had a bona fide quarterback.
Yeah, there's no question about that. So, Brent, you've been going to media days for a long, long time. Just kind of tell our listeners, I know it's a long week. I know you enjoy it. You get to see your twin brother who covers sports in the state of Alabama. But is it, does everybody stay at the same hotel? All you media boys go out, hang out at the bar, tell stories? What do y'all do after the whole deal is over?
Well, and that's a lot of it. Half of media days to me are just seeing people that we talk to on the radio, and on television, being able to see them in a hall. And listen, I've always gotten more out of the hall talk, and it reminded me to give you some hall talk in a minute. And what I mean by that is you hear some pretty interesting stuff from the beat writers along that line. There's a lot of the media who last night went to Dave & Buster's. They got basically a coupon from the SEC in order to go. And Shane, as you can imagine, you can certainly comment on this. I get to see people like Chris Doering, who a lot of the media here are taking up a collection to buy him a few different shirts than what he's got because they feel sorry for him because his shirts are so tight on him. So I figured you'd appreciate that little bit of talk too.
No doubt. Me and some of my buddies always give Doring crap that he wears a medium shirt all the time. That small medium, make it look like he's all ripped. But no, right. Doring does a tremendous job. It was good.
He does. Absolutely.
What else stands out to you, or as you mentioned, any nuggets that you heard while you were there?
Yeah, let me mention a couple. One is I talked to one of my media friends who has talked to several media members from New Orleans and Baton Rouge, and this is a little bit surprising, but yet it's probably not. Is if LSU goes with some kind of season like they had last year, which is a disaster for them, that Orgeron's in a lot of trouble. Now, look, I don't think they will because I frankly think they'll finish second to Alabama. I think they've got that much talent. But I just thought that was interesting that was the ideal from them. And the other thing, among things that I heard was, and I give my brother credit for this because he had Brian Matthews, who is an Auburn beat writer, on his show on Monday, and Brian said that Alan Green, the Auburn athletic director, may be let go by the end of the year. Said that, and again, now Shane, Auburn finished in the All Sports Trophy 12 out of 14 teams.
That's crazy.
So, Shane, in this league, your officials and fans aren't going to put up with that for very long.
No. So you think LSU's got a lot of starters coming back, and I think Miles Brennan's going to win that job personally. Yeah. For whatever reason, why do I think Texas A&M is going to win the West? Am I crazy? Correct me if I'm wrong,
no.
Brent. I think they have 8 starters coming back from the top-ranked defense in the league. They lost one game last year to Alabama. They lose Kellen Mond. I don't think losing Kellen Mond is a big deal because I think the two kids that Jimbo has, I've seen a little bit of them in their spring game. I like the way they throw the football. They got the best player in the league, in my opinion, in Anais Smith. They got Isaiah Spiller. They got that big old tight end. Am I crazy to think A&M wins the West?
No, you're not. I mean, look, it's Haynes King or Zach Calzada or both two good quarterbacks. Isaiah Spiller is one of the better running backs in the league, but this Devin Achon may be better than he is. I talked to an Aggie beat writer in length yesterday, and that's what he said, along with Anais Smith, and Jimbo said this yesterday, is one of the best slot backs anywhere. Weinmar is a very good tight end. Kenyon Green, who they brought with them, is one of the better left tackles in the league. But look, to your point, defensively, Shane, what we've said for years, have we not, is in order to do what A&M needs to do, they've got to get a bona fide SEC defensive line, and they've got that this year. So, and when you add all that together, and when you look at, they've got the Alabama game at home, they've got Auburn at home. Now they do go to LSU. Arkansas is a neutral site game as always. But look, I'm kind of with you. They think they'll be undefeated going into the Alabama game. The beat writer told me that may be the most hype for a game in A&M history now, not just this year. So to your point, and the beat writer told me, he said they are a solid quarterback away from very well winning the SEC.
I agree with it. Dan Mullen kicked it off on Monday. What did you take from what Coach Mullen had to say?
Well, after showing the shoes and the socks off, I think it was fairly typical. I mean, he certainly built up Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson. He thinks they've got a veteran offensive line. He loves a running back room, and so do I. I mean, he was asked, frankly, will the defense be better? He believes it will. I do too. I still think the two transfers coming in from Auburn and Penn State are going to help them a lot. Frankly, I think the part that probably drew some ire from Gator fans was when he was asked about Alabama coming in the state of Florida and getting, I think, 9 5-stars within the last few years. Can they change that? And Mullen's response to that was, well, I just look at recruiting rankings differently. Well, I can assure you, you've heard it and I've heard it. Gator fans know what recruiting rankings mean. And look, I'm a believer in Mullen and what they're trying to do. But I know this, and I hear about it every day, is there's no question that the recruiting has got to improve and got to get better. So, I mean, I thought it was fairly typical of what we thought we might hear from him during that time. And you know, he handled it well. He's a veteran with this. But I will tell you, we got more energy out of Kirby Smart than we ever had before. And the new guy that really impressed me more than anybody is Shane Beamer. Now look, Shane, I'm convinced you and I and whoever we can scrounge up or better than some of the guys they've got. But once they get the recruiting better, and I think they're on their way. I mean, they've got Luke Doty at quarterback, Kevin Harris at running back, but they just need a lot of players to go along with what they've got. And I'll be honest with you, Josh Heupel was about as bland as anybody I have heard from there. And there's some concern there that he's going to get the offense going, but will he be the answer at Tennessee that they really need? So just some observations coming out of media days.
Last thing before we let you go, Brent, I think it was Coach Mullen that talked about doing away with the East and the West.
Yeah.
And the top two teams that way, because, you know, it's the first time Alabama's come to the Swamp in 10 years.
Correct.
Has there been any more talk about that this week up in Hoover?
Oh, yeah. I think several coaches were asked about that, and they basically agree with that, that needs to be changed. Now, think about this a minute. We're not trying to get the cart before the horse here, but Shane, I guarantee you this: if Texas and Oklahoma, and we're not saying this is going to happen, but if Texas and Oklahoma join the league and it's 16 teams, I guarantee you something's going to be done away with in order to get some of those incredible matchups that you would see in a situation like that. And again, where we catch that is the report. This hadn't happened yet. But look, I think there would be some people in favor of being able to do away with that. I'm with Mullen on that. Shane, there's no excuse why a Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Alabama type situation that they don't see each other but about once a decade.
Yeah, I kind of want them to do away with it and just take the top two teams and go play in Atlanta. I think that's the best thing to do.
I agree.
Because I think the fans want to see more people. I mean, obviously, the East is down right now. I guess everybody up there, any concern from the Georgia beat writers? Is Kirby under a lot of pressure this year?
I still think Kirby has a lot of equity from obviously winning a division, being in the championship game after winning the SEC and beating Auburn. But I give Kirby credit for this. Kirby dealt with that in his opening statement. He said, look, we're embracing the expectations. We think we've got a good football team. We know what our fans are expecting and what we've done and what we haven't done. But I think look, if they go, if they pull a 7-5 or an 8-4, I think there would be, but he's got too much equity built up from what he's done before, Shane, to be in any kind of trouble. But there's no doubt that the fans are more than anxious because they have it thrown in their face all the time. They haven't won a national championship since 1980.
Yeah. Brent, great stuff as always. I'm sure you're exhausted. Safe travels back to Jacksonville, and we will talk to you next week, my man.
Good. Can't wait, bud. Thanks much. Take care.
Yep. That's Brent Beaird, our college football analyst. You can follow Brent on Twitter at Brent Beaird. Does a phenomenal job coming to us live on the Titan MR hotline from Hoover, Alabama, and the SEC Media Days. We're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we'll be joined by former Gator quarterback Eric Kresser. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
We're looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
We're going to go now to the Titan MRI hotline, and we're joined by former Gator quarterback and Marshall Thundering Herd quarterback, Eric Kresser. Eric, how are you, buddy?
From you.
Kresser,
Good to hear from you, Shane.
Yeah, good.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bud. So you're down in the Palm Beach Gardens, West Palm area. What's going on? How you staying busy down there through all this, my man?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as everybody else, just staying home and getting a lot of computer work done and working around the house. Not much else to do, really. I work for a high school, so obviously we're not allowed on campus. And, just trying to find stuff to do.
Yeah, Eric Kresser joins us on the Titan MR hotline. Eric's the head football coach at the Benjamin School. Let everybody know, how you got the job, the head coaching job. I know you were an assistant there for a while. And how are you enjoying being the head ball coach?
It's been great so far. The Benjamin School is awesome. The people I work with are awesome. And it goes way back to when I was in high school. I actually went to the Benjamin School for a couple of years. And when I moved home after playing ball, the same head coach was still there. He was there for 44 years. And I started training some quarterbacks in the area, and a few of them were Benjamin players. And before you know it, they had an opening for an OC, and I took that job. And then Coach Ream retired after 44 years, and I got the head coaching job, and it's been awesome.
Chris, are you bird watching down there?
I'm outside, man. It's nice down here. I heard you say it was raining.
Yeah,
I heard you say it was raining up there, but yeah, it's sunny out, and I'm walking around. It's pretty nice.
Awesome. Well, talk a little bit. You obviously have a Gator that played for you. Kyer Elam played at your school. Also, you have a Florida State quarterback, Jordan Travis, who initially went to Louisville. Talk a little bit about both those kids, how they performed for you.
Oh, they were outstanding. They were the guys when you watched them play in high school, you just knew that they were going to be big time players and end up at a place like Florida State.
Kyer was a 4-year player for us. You know, his father was an NFL DB for a while, and so was his uncle, Matt Elam, who was a Gator. And Kyer was awesome. He was football, basketball, track star, played both ways, returned kicks, probably could do all that stuff in college if he really wanted to. But he kind of followed in the footsteps of his dad and his uncle, and he's playing DB and obviously doing a great job. I was there in the Orange Bowl, got to see him get that interception to secure the game, and it was pretty cool. But Kyer's a great kid. Always had good grades. You know, he was getting recruited by Stanford and Ivy Leagues and places like that, and just an all-around kid. He's probably going to go a long ways with football.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Jordan Travis. Yeah, Jordan Travis. He's a kid that I was training down here. He was my quarterback at Benjamin, and taught him how to play quarterback. And he was an all-state kid for us. He was Florida Player of the Year in 3A, and initially went to Louisville. And you know, that whole thing went down there with Petrino, and a lot of kids left and transferred, and some of the coaches that were at Florida State had recruited him heavily in when he was in high school, and so that's how he ended up at Florida State. And looks like he's got a good chance to compete for the starting job this year, and you know, I hope he wins it. If he does, you know, he'll have a chance to be a 3-year starter at Florida State, and yeah, it should be pretty cool to watch him. I was actually on the way to the Florida State game last year. Didn't get a chance to get there, but it's going to be pretty cool getting to watch those two actually go against each other on the field at the same time.
No doubt about it. We're speaking with Eric Kresser. Kresser, when you coming out of high school, what coach at the University of Florida was the main guy that recruited you, and what other schools did you think about going to?
Well, I was initially recruited by Charlie Strong. He was the guy that recruited Palm Beach County, and he was the contact with, you know, my high school head coach. But, you know, being a quarterback like you, Shane, you know, Spurrier was heavily involved in the recruitment. And so I spoke with those guys on a regular basis coming out of high school. And to be honest with you, I grew up a Hurricane fan. My brother played for the Miami Hurricanes, and I really liked Jimmy Johnson. Right when I got to about midway through high school, Jimmy left Miami. Dennis Erickson came in, and then Spurrier took the job at Florida, and that's kind of what, you know, swayed me the other way. And once Spurrier took the job at Florida, and you know, I saw what you guys were doing up there, I was sold. So to be honest with you, man, I knew I was going to Florida, you know, halfway through high school. And I didn't take any of my other visits. I only took one visit to Florida. I was already committed, and I was a Gator all the way.
We're speaking with Eric Kresser. Kresser, you come in with Danny, and obviously everyone knows the player Danny became. Was it difficult? And what was y'all's relationship like when y'all came in as freshmen? You know, y'all were both redshirted. You know, I guess my question, I was a senior when you guys came in, and, you know, y'all got to see how Coach Spurrier handled his quarterbacks, you know, on the sidelines, things of that nature. But what was y'all's relationship like, yours and Danny's?
We got along fine. You know, we were always friends, and it was a competitive friendship. We didn't hang out off the field. You know, his you know, lifestyle outside the locker room probably a little bit different than mine, but you know, we were friendly and we got along, and I cut his hair in the dorm room, and you know, we hung out a little bit here and there, but it was I cut a lot of the guys' hair in the dorm room, one of those deals. But yeah, it was cool. I think the whole team got along pretty well, Shane. I think that's one of the reasons, you know, our class in 1996 ended up winning the whole deal, and one of the reasons in the early 90s they were so good. I think everybody got along. It was a true team atmosphere, and just good team chemistry.
Talk about in 1995, Coach Spurrier, probably your favorite moment, I would think, as a Gator was when you set the single game passing yard record. You threw for 458 yards against Northern Illinois and 6 touchdowns. Talk about, you know, Coach Spurrier coming up to you and say, "Hey, man, we're going to start you against Northern Illinois. Was it a surprise?
Yeah, it was. It was kind of awkward. Danny played well, obviously, had all kinds of records and won the Heisman Trophy. But, I always, in the back of my mind, always thought I should have been on the field as well. So, I was sitting there and he told me I was going to start. And, it was a bittersweet feeling, if you can imagine, if you feel like you should be playing and the coach tells you he's going to start you one game. It's like, okay, well, better make the most of it. But really, I wanted to be out there every week. But obviously that game was a big game for me. I got to play the whole game. It was a good feeling. It was a good day. So yeah, it was a stat wise, it was a big moment. Honestly, the big games, even though I didn't play in some of them, those were the biggest moments. The Tennessee games, the Florida State games, those kind of games. Those were always the ones that your heart still got pumping a lot faster, even if you weren't playing, just by being out there. But yeah, that game was a pretty fun day.
We're speaking with Eric Kresser on the Titan MR Hotline from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Probably the best pure passer, I would say, that Coach Spurrier had in his tenure here. And Eric, for your senior year, you decide you're going to transfer so you can get on the field and play. Bob Pruitt, who had been a defensive coordinator at Florida, was now the head coach at Marshall. Were there any other schools that you were interested in transferring to, or was Marshall the school you wanted to go play at?
No, that was it. I really wasn't thinking about transferring. Didn't really, want to transfer. I felt like, in the back of my mind, I still felt like I was going to get a chance to play or at least compete. And I did play quite a bit, my junior year and even my sophomore year at Florida. I wasn't the starter, but I played quite a bit and felt like I would have played a little bit more my senior year, if not, compete for the job. I know that would have been tough, seeing how Danny played before. But really what happened was Bob Pruitt, that summer going into my senior year, he became the head coach at Marshall. And, I had kind of followed his path and saw what he was doing up there and did a little research on Marshall. And, it just seemed like a good fit. And, I took a visit up there and he's like, hey, we got this kid, Randy Moss, coming from Florida State, with you guys, we just played a national championship game last year. And we think if we add you guys, we'll, take it all the way. And so it was a good fit. Got up to Marshall. I loved it. I loved my teammates up there. It felt just like Florida, to be honest with you. It was great team chemistry. Same type of small college town as Gainesville. A lot of similarities, and really felt at home in Huntington. I loved it up there. And my son's name is Marshall.
That's what I was going to say.
Marshall.
You loved it enough to name your kid after the school.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It was awesome. It was, and I use my experience a lot with the kids that I coach in high school. A lot of these kids, what I'm talking about, Shane. They all want to play at, a Power 5 conference school. It's like Power 5 or bust. And I try to tell these guys, man, Division I AA, guys, it's good football. You don't have to be at Alabama or LSU to go play good football. And, that's one thing I realized when I got to Huntington, we were still 1AA. And most of the kids on our starting team ended up in the pros for a while. I mean, we probably could have played with anybody in the country at any level that year. And so that's just, it was a great experience for me. And I still use it to this day with the younger kids.
We got a text here on the Titan MR text line from Joe. He wants to know, how was it to play along with Randy Moss?
I'll tell you, it was pretty easy. He made me look good. He was, even as a freshman up there, a redshirt freshman, he was about 6'5" and ran about a 4.3, 4.3 flat. So, you put that thing out there as far as you can throw it, on a go route, on a slant route, you have a big diameter to fit it into. His reach is so big and he just knows how to position himself like a basketball player. So he made my life a lot easier, but you know, it was definitely a team effort. You know, we were 15-0 national champions, but what a lot of people don't realize is we had 2 1,000-yard rushers, and we had another receiver had the same amount of catches as Randy. So it was Randy got a lot of the hype because one took it away from him and ran for a touchdown. That's where that saying came from. But yeah, he did that all the time, and so he was a lot of fun to watch. But there were a lot of guys on that. You know, a lot of our linemen were NFL guys, and we just had a boatload of players on that team.
We're speaking with Eric Kresser, former Gator and Marshall Thundering Herd quarterback, also head coach now at the Benjamin School down in South Florida. Talk to us a little bit about, did you have a sit-down conversation with the head ball coach when you were thinking about transferring?
I did. I talked to him, and, you know, he understood. You know, I felt like he wanted to play me. You know, I felt like that's why he started me in the Northern Illinois game, and I think he was going to do a little bit more the next year, you know, had Danny still been the starter. And but he understood. You know, he sat down and he told me, he said he thought I was going to play for a long time after college, and you know, that he would support me and all those kind of things. So, you know, we had a good talk, and it was kind of sad to leave, you know, but like I said, it's, you know, playing the quarterback position, sometimes you just got to make that move. And, you know, sometimes there's just one guy that gets a chance, and that's what the case was there.
So, Eric, would you say you you probably stay in touch with both schools, a lot of the teammates, but would you say you probably stay in contact more with your guys you came in with at Florida?
I would say probably equal. I made some very good, you know, friends, and I had some good relationships up in Huntington. But, you know, spent more time in Gainesville, you know, and came in with those guys. But I keep in touch with a lot of guys from both teams. You know, I'm like one of those, I feel like I need one of those license plates, house divided. You know, I feel like I need one for myself, you know, divided Florida and Marshall. I mean, I love both schools. I had, you know, great times and memories at both schools. And yeah, I can't really say one is bigger than the other, to be honest with you.
Well, what's interesting is in that 96, that 92, y'all came in 92, right? Your
92,
class.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. Coach Spurrier had 2 national championship quarterbacks on that roster, which is pretty dang cool. Talk a little bit about, you know, we lived in Yon Hall growing up, and at school, not growing up, but you talked about how
right.
you cut everybody's hair, but you also got, everyone knows James Bates and his paintings. You got him interested in painting, right?
Yes, but you know, I want to make it clear, he's always been an artist. I mean, he was doing his artwork in Yon Hall. He's always had a sketchbook. He always was good at art. I basically introduced him to a paintbrush and a canvas, and helped him out a little bit there, but he's always been an artist. So, I mean, I wish I could take the credit for him, you know, and what he's doing, but that's, you know, that's all Bates. He's a creative guy, and, you know, he's just fun to watch, whether it's, you know, making prank calls in Yon Hall or doing, you know, playing football or doing his artwork or whatever. He's definitely an entertainer and good friend. He was my roommate in Yon Hall, and we came in together, but yeah, he's got it going on. I see his artwork all over the place now, and it's pretty cool stuff. A lot of it has to do with Florida football.
Yeah. After you left Marshall, you went and had a couple of years with the Cincinnati Bengals, also played in the Canadian League. Talk a little bit about what you learned in the NFL and how you take what you've learned there and you apply it with your kids at your high school. And I guess my other question is, which coach do you try to emulate? Do you take a lot of the stuff that you learned from Coach Spurrier and teach your quarterbacks?
I'll tell you, there's really a lot of coaches that I use information from, and obviously Spurrier was, you know, my first college coach, and he taught me a lot. You know, I mean, I loved watching film. I didn't know how to watch film when I got to Florida. You know, I didn't I didn't, when I turned on the film or we talked about past concepts, it was all foreign to me. I mean, when I was in high school, I had a very good coach who was a quarterback, but our offense was very different than a typical West Coast offense or something you'd see in college. And so when I got to Florida, I had to learn from scratch. And the one thing I can say Spurrier taught very well to me anyway was how to see the spacing on the field, how to look at the shell of the defense and how to know where the weak spots were and how to get to those plays. And I thought that was pretty cool. And the one thing I use from Coach Spurrier now is the one philosophy I have is, you always have to get to a good play. You can't leave a bad play on. And if they're giving us something better, we got to take it if the situation allows us to. So that's something we're very aggressive. I like using audibles. We get to, we change it. Sometimes our assistant coaches get mad. We change out run plays into pass plays all the time. But when I see a something I think could be a touchdown, we take a shot. So that's probably the most that I use from Coach Spurrier is that attitude and that kind of philosophy of getting to a good play and kind of going for the jugular at all times. That's kind of what I think he instilled in me. When I got to Marshall, we had an OC who was very good, Larry Keck. He was a little bit more disciplined in the protections and those kind of things. It was the first time I learned how to throw a hot route. We didn't have hot routes at Florida, not that I can remember.
Nope.
unless I missed it. But
nope.
When I got to Marshall, I learned how to. Yeah.
I had learned
same
about
thing,
those
right?
hot
When you got
routes
to
in
Chicago.
NFL. Yep.
Yeah. So the best part about going to Marshall for me offensively was learning those kind of protections where, if a certain linebacker comes, you got to throw hot. And that was, we got a lot of touchdowns off of those and made a lot of teams pay when they blitzed. And, nowadays it's probably impossible to do it the way we did at Florida because the defense is disguised so much. And, how can you get up there and know if they're blitzing or not and know that you have to change your protection? So sometimes you just got to read it on the fly and throw the hot routes on the fly. But that was one thing that we did at Marshall that I did for the first time that I still use now. And we do that at school here. One of the biggest influences was Kenny Anderson. He was my QB coach at Cincinnati, and he was an all-pro QB for Cincinnati, set records for pass completion percentage. And, the biggest things I've learned from him was footwork, the timing of everything and taking extra hitches is bad and just knowing your rhythm and your drop and all those kind of things. And, where the eye placement was big and, with the West Coast offense, all's got to come out on time. And, I learned that in Cincinnati and, we drill that to death down here at Benjamin. Footwork is always good. We're always on time. Ball's always coming out on time. And, but yeah, I'd say those three guys are probably the biggest influences. And I do think about what they taught me and I do use it often at the Benjamin School. So it's, I feel like the combination of those three guys really helped me as a quarterback.
Last thing for you, Eric, and we really do appreciate you joining the show today.
Yeah, man.
Everybody, all former players that played for the HBC, I got to ask them why are they on their show. I got to have a good Spurrier story. And I know you got a bunch of them. So what pick one that you could say on air here for our listeners?
On air. Yeah, I don't know. I got to think about that one. Some of them, yeah, I can't say on air. There's some good ones though, but gosh, there's one I don't know if I should say. It's kind of rough. Shoot. Yeah, I can't say that one. Yeah, you got me on this one, man.
Yeah, my bad. I should have probably prepared you for that.
Well, the one that comes to mind is because James Bates always reminds me of it, and it was pretty funny. It probably won't be as funny coming from me as it does James, but we were sitting there James and I was in the front of the meeting room, and we were getting ready for a bowl game. I think it was a Sugar Bowl maybe. And Coach was trying to come up with a little bit of a motivational tactic for us, and he had this little radio, this little cassette player radio, and he turned this song on. It was a country song, and it was the one song that says you got to kick a little, and then it says the word ASS, and the word got bleeped out, and everybody was just kind of looking around like, are we supposed to like get up and jump up and down now, or what are we supposed to do? But you could tell when Coach was listening to it, you could tell his blood was flowing and he was getting pumped up. But it just did. I don't think it worked for the guys, but I think the guys did a pretty good job of faking it. But I don't know if you know the name of that song, but it was a pretty popular country song. You got to kick a little, and then so that was a funny one. But that was one of the ones he kind of had to be there. Right. But there's a ton of them. You got to get Bates telling the Spurrier stories.
No, there's no question. He's pretty good at them. But Eric, we want to we really do appreciate you joining the show today. Good luck down there at the Benjamin School. By the way, how's your team? If we play football next year, you got a lot of guys coming back. You got a chance to make a run.
We're looking really good. We're really young. We got the number one quarterback in the country in 8th grade coming in. And, we got all 4 of our receivers are about 6'3", 6'4". Our running back is one of the top guys in the area. So, I think we have a chance. We have some D1 linemen. Of course, you hear me talking about all offense, but our defense is going to be pretty good too. We have some good guys on defense. So I think we're going to be all right, but we're definitely going to be very young. I think in 2-3 years, cross my fingers, I think we'll be able to play with anybody.
Oh, I know the one last thing I want to ask you. You're one of I think you and Ernie Mills are the only players that Coach has named plays after. Blue slide Kresser. Kresser, is the deep crosser
route.
Kresser. That's got to be a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. When he was coaching at South Carolina, sometimes they had the mic on him and you could hear him talking. He would call out the play. It was pretty cool to watch that on TV. But I had one of my quarterbacks, Kevin Anderson, who's playing in CFL right now. He played for Coach Spurrier in Orlando for the Apollos, and he called me up one night. They were doing offensive install, and he's like, Coach, do you realize they got a play called Kresser? I'm like, yeah, I knew that, but he was all excited about it. It was one of the guys that I taught how to play QB. But so that's pretty cool. It's a good deal.
Eric Kresser and Ernie Mills, the only 2 players that he has plays named after. Well, Kresser, y'all be safe down there, buddy. Really do appreciate you joining the show, and we'll follow your the Benjamin. There's Buccaneers, right?
Buccaneers. Yep.
We'll follow y'all this year, and good luck to you, my man. Take care.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that's Eric Kresser. You can follow him on Twitter at Eric Kresser. Does a tremendous job training quarterbacks down in South Florida, and obviously has some really good players at the Benjamin School. But he was one of the most talented quarterbacks to ever play here. Just never really got a chance because he was playing behind, arguably the greatest quarterback we ever had at this school, Danny Werfel. But got to go to Marshall and do his thing and won a national title. Got to play in the NFL a little bit and doing wonderful things down there.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar, If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.